I died choking on my own vomit in a dingy motel room off I-95, the kind of place where dreams go to rot and hookers charge by the hour. My last thought wasn't regret. It was rage, pure and blistering, aimed at the three people who'd carved me hollow: my mother, my sister, and the man I'd loved since high school. Betrayed, discarded, and left to spiral into oblivion because Mom had whispered just the right lies into Jake's ear, convincing him I was too broken for forever. But death? It was a reset button I never asked for. When my eyes snapped open, it was to the sterile beep of a hospital monitor, my 16-year-old body thrashing against restraints, and the metallic tang of second chances flooding my mouth. That was 3 years ago. Give or take. Time bends funny when you're clawing back from the abyss. I'd woken up in my old bedroom in our cramped split level in suburban Philly, posters of boy bands peeling from the walls, the air thick with the scent of Mom's cheap lavender candles. My hands, small, unscarred, nails bitten to the quick, gripped the sheets as the memories crashed in. Jake's proposal to Lila at our family Easter brunch, the way Mom's eyes had gleamed like she'd orchestrated the whole damn thing. I'd confronted them, screaming until my voice cracked, and Jake had just stared at me with that pitying look like I was the crazy one. "Piper, you're not ready for this," he'd said, as if my panic attacks and shoplifting sprees were character flaws, not the fallout from Dad's suicide and Mom's endless string of boyfriends. In my first life, or whatever you call the one that ended in that motel, I'd unraveled fast after that. Dropped out of community college, bounced between dead-end jobs, hooked up with guys who treated me like a rebound. Lila and Jake got the white picket fence in Cherry Hill, a golden retriever named Max, and twins on the way. Mom played the doting grandmother, cooing over ultrasounds while slipping me 20s with a "get yourself together, sweetie," that reeked of judgment. I'd OD'd on fentanyl-laced pills, alone, with a half-empty bottle of Jack and a note I never finished. No one found me for 2 days. Now, I was back, a ghost in my teenage skin, and I wasn't wasting it on tears. Revenge isn't a sprint, it's a goddamn marathon with landmines. First rule: play the long game. I smiled through family dinners, aced my SATs, and buried the fury under layers of straight-A charm. Mom noticed the change, called it a phase, but she didn't push. She never did. Not when it suited her narrative. Lila, 2 years older and already engaged to Jake in this timeline? She was the golden child, valedictorian-bound, with her perfect bob and sorority dreams. I watched her like a hawk, noting the cracks. The way she'd linger in Jake's car after youth group, her hand brushing his thigh a beat too long. The secret I'd carried to my grave? It wasn't just Mom's meddling. Dad hadn't killed himself. He'd been pushed, financially, emotionally, by Mom's affair with his boss, a sleazy real estate developer who'd promised her the world and delivered dead instead. She'd framed Dad as the unstable one, the drunk who couldn't hack it, and after his suicide, she'd sold the story to everyone, including Jake's conservative family. It explained why she torpedoed my future with Jake. He came from money, old Philly stock, and she saw Lila as the upgrade. Me? I was the loose end, the one who looked too much like Dad with my wild curls and skeptical eyes. My rebirth gift was clarity, razor sharp. I started small, hacked into Mom's email, easy with her password still, LilaStar88, and found the old love letters from Mr. Hargrove, the boss. Carbon copies of forged bank statements showing Dad's embezzlement. Proof she'd gaslit us all into believing he was the villain. I printed them, hid them in a fireproof box under my bed. Not yet. Timing is everything. High school blurred by in a haze of calculated normalcy. I joined debate club, not for the arguments, but to hone my bullshit detector. Jake was there, all lanky limbs and earnest grins, quarterback dreams still intact. In my old life, we'd met at a bonfire party, sparks flying over stolen beers. This time, I waited. Let him chase me during homecoming week, his texts lighting up my flip phone. "Hey pipes, wanna grab shakes?" I played coy, then reeled him in slow, study sessions in the library, knees brushing under tables. Lila noticed, her smiles tightening like overstarched collars. Mom, of course, was the architect. I overheard her one night, voice muffled through the bathroom door as she coached Lila on the phone. He's perfect for you, honey. Pipers. Flighty. Boys like Jake need stability. Flighty. The word ignited something feral in me. I started documenting. Voice memos on my iPod, screenshots of texts Lila forwarded to Mom about stealing Jake's heart. Controversial decision number 1. I didn't confront. I amplified. Whispered to Jake's buddy Ryan about Lila's secret crush. Planted just enough doubt to make him pull back from her group hangouts. Petty? Hell yes. But it bought me time. By senior year, I had Jake hooked, prom king and queen, his Letterman jacket slung over my shoulders like a trophy. Mom's face at the crowning? Priceless. A flicker of calculation, then that saccharine smile. So proud of you both. Lila seethed quietly, her college apps to Penn State suddenly urgent. But I saw the fracture lines. During a family barbecue, I accidentally spilled red wine on her white sundress right over the monogrammed Mrs. Harlan towel Jake's mom had gifted early. Oops, I said, dabbing with a napkin that smeared it worse. Clumsy me. College was my launch pad. I turned down Jake's pleas for the same school, UPenn, where he'd follow family tradition, and chose NYU instead. Gotta spread my wings, I told him, kissing him goodbye at the airport with a promise ring glinting on my finger. Distance was my ally. New York swallowed me whole. Internships at indie mags, late nights in dive bars scribbling manifestos. I majored in journalism, minored in psych, tools for dissection. And revenge? It simmered, patient as a pot about to boil over. Back home, things unraveled without me as the scapegoat. Lila pushed too hard for Jake, cornering him at a frat party, her advances sloppy with desperation. He confided in me over grainy webcam calls. She's acting weird, pipes. Like clingy. I nodded sympathetically, then dropped the bomb. Casual, like sharing gossip. Heard Mom's been talking you up to her. Says you're the son she never had. His face darkened. Seed planted. Meanwhile, I dug deeper. Hired a PI with savings from Wykersing, $500 for dirt on Hargrove. Turns out, the affair hadn't ended with Dad's death. Mom was still dipping into his gifts, a slush fund for her pyramid scheme of a boutique. Tax evasion, falsified receipts. Jackpot. But I held back, building my arsenal. Controversial move too. I dated around. Not to hurt Jake, but to toughen up. A tattooed artist who taught me lockpicking, a Wall Street wolf who showed me how to short stocks. Knowledge was power, and power was the only currency that mattered. 2 years into NYU, the call came. Mom, voice syrupy. Piper, darling, come home for Lila's engagement party. Jake proposed. My blood turned to ice, then fire. In this timeline, she'd doubled down, whispering poison while I was away. I flew back, steeling myself. The party was at our old house, now gussied up with Hargrove's money, string lights, catered sliders, a playlist of Ed Sheeran ballads. Lila glowed in a sheath dress, Jake beside her like a leased tuxedo, his smile strained. I arrived fashionably late, in a black midi that hugged my curves I'd earned through spin classes and spite. Hugs all around, Mom's grip lingering like a vice. You look different. Good. I was different. A specter with a plan. Over champagne flutes, I cornered Jake in the kitchen, away from the chatter. You okay? I asked, voice low. He deflated. This. It feels off. Your mom, she convinced you? I finished, eyes locking on his. He nodded, shamefaced. She said you were seeing someone else. That you'd changed. Lies, all of it. But I didn't rage. I smiled, slow and sharp. What if I told you she's been lying about more than that? About Dad? His eyes widened. Hook set. The night devolved from there, Lila's toast slurring into accusations, Mom's face paling as I innocently mentioned Hargrove's name in front of Jake's parents. Whispers spread like smoke. By dessert, Jake was pulling away, murmuring excuses about cold feet. Lila cornered me in the powder room, nails digging into my arm. What the hell are you doing? Surviving, I hissed. You stole my life once. Not again. She laughed, brittle. You were always the dramatic one. Mom did you a favor. Favor. The word echoed my deathbed fury. I shoved the printouts into her hands. Dad's Real bank records, Hargrove's emails. Read it. Then ask yourself who the thief really is. She crumpled them, but the damage was done. Jake saw, demanded answers. Mom deflected, all tears and denials, but the cracks spiderwebbed. The engagement fizzled by fall, called off over irreconcilable differences, tabloid fodder for Philly's gossip mills. I graduated top of my class, landed a gig at Vanity Fair, profiling fallen heiresses. Ironic, right? Jake transferred to Columbia, closer to me. We rekindled slow, coffee dates in Greenwich Village, walks along the High Line where he poured out his guilt. I should have trusted you, he said one rainy afternoon, rain streaking the cafe window like tears. I forgave him, or pretended to. He was a pawn, Mom the Queen. But revenge demanded more. Controversial choice 3. I seduced the truth out of Hargrove. Posed as an eager intern at his firm. All wide eyes and short skirts. He bit, dinners that per se, hands wandering. I recorded every slurred confession. The affair, the setup, the accident at the quarry where Dad's truck had plunged. Not suicide. Manslaughter, covered with bribes. Hargrove laughed it off as business, but I had it on tape, crystal clear. Mom found out about my side hustle, confronted me over Thanksgiving turkey, Lila silent and sullen across the table. What are you playing at, Piper? Seducing that man? You're just like your father, reckless. I leaned in, fork poised over pie.
No, Mom.
I'm like you, ruthless when cornered. I slid the USB across the linen. Play it. For old time's sake. Her face drained of color. Lila gasped. The room spun into chaos, screams, accusations, Jake's mom excusing herself to the powder room. Hargrove got the call next morning. Anonymous tip to the DA. Embezzlement charges stuck. The quarry accident reopened as homicide. Mom's boutique folded under audits, her social circle evaporating like morning fog. Lila spiraled, drinking binges, a string of bad boyfriends, echoes of my old life. She called me once, voice wrecked. Why? We could have shared.
Shared.
As if betrayal came in portions. I hung up, deleted the number. Jake proposed for real on a snowy Central Park bridge, ring box trembling in his gloved hand. This time, no doubts. I said yes, but my heart? It was armored, a vault holding grudges and ghosts. We married quiet, City Hall, falafel truck afterward. Built a life in Brooklyn brownstone, him in finance, me chasing stories that bled truth. Years blurred. Promotions, a dog named Scout, talks of kids that stayed talks. Mom reached out sporadically. Letters from her new retirement in Florida, post-prison for accessory charges. Lila? Vanished into rehab circuits. Last I heard waitressing in Atlantic City. I didn't gloat.
Much.
Then the party. Our 5th anniversary bash, rooftop affair in Williamsburg, skyline ablaze with summer fireworks. I'd invited them on a whim or calculation. Mom, paroled and penitent. Lila, sober 6 months, tagging along like a shadow. Family reconciliation. The invite read. Lies again. They arrived late, Mom in an ill-fitting sheath, Lila's hair frizzed from humidity. Jake, my husband now, solid and sure, greeted them with polite handshakes, his arm around my waist like an anchor. I watched their eyes widen as he laughed at my joke. Easy intimacy we'd forged in fire's aftermath. Mom recovered first, cooing over the charcuterie. Such a lovely home, Piper. You deserve it. But her gaze darted to Jake, hungry, then to me, wary. Lila cornered me by the railing, city hum below us.
He's
different. Happy. He is, I said, sipping rose. We both are. The twist hit at midnight, toasts clinking. Jake pulled me close, announcing our news. Piper's pregnant. Due in spring. Cheers erupted, but Mom's flute slipped, shattering on terracotta. Lila's face crumpled. Not envy, but something rawer. Recognition. You planned this, Mom whispered later, as guests milled. All of it. I met her eyes, the same skeptical brown as Dad's.
No.
I just corrected it. She reached for my hand. I let her, just once. Forgiveness? Maybe. Or the final cut. As they left, cabs vanishing into neon, I felt the weight lift, not gone, but lighter. Rebirth wasn't about erasing scars, it was rewriting the ending. But in the quiet after, Jake asleep beside me, I traced the faint line of my scar, the one from that motel fall, faded but there.
She kitched the heart.
And mine? The biggest one waited, coiled like smoke. Hargrove's tape wasn't the only leverage. I'd kept a copy, stashed for the day Lila's sobriety cracked or Mom's remorse soured. Revenge isn't a finish line. It's a shadow you learn to dance with. Spring came, our daughter kicking like a fighter. I named her Echo, voice of the past, harbinger of the future. Mom visited once, holding the bundle with trembling hands, whispering apologies that tasted like ash. Lila sent cards and signed. Jake never asked about the boxes under our bed, the ones labeled family history. Life rolled on, American dream repackaged, brownstone brunches, PDA wars, headlines I penned that toppled tycoons. But at night, when the city sighed, I remembered the motel stench, the reset's cold grip. I'd won, or so it seemed, until the letter arrived, postmarked Atlantic City. Lila's scrawl, begging a meeting. I know what you did to Dad, and I have proof.
Twist.
The game, it turned out, wasn't over. Just reloading. The letter burned a hole in my purse for days, Lila's words looping like a bad remix. I know what you did to Dad, and I have proof. Proof? I'd buried that skeleton deeper than Hargrove's quarry, the recordings encrypted on a drive only I could access. But blood calls to blood, and Lila, my sister, my mirror cracked, had always been better at shadows than I gave her credit. Pregnant belly swelling under my silk blouse, I stared at the skyline from our brownstone's bay window, wondering if revenge was a virus, mutating, endless. Jake noticed my distraction over breakfast. His tie half nodded as he scrolled Bloomberg. Everything okay, Pipes? You look like you're plotting world domination again. He winked, oblivious to the undercurrents. That's what I loved about him now, the clean slate, untainted by Mom's whispers. In this life, he'd been my anchor, not my noose. But telling him?
No.
Some wars you fight solo. I texted Lila. Coffee? Neutral ground. Saturday. Her reply pinged instant. The old diner on Broad.
10 Uhr morgens.
Come alone. The old diner, where Dad used to take us for pancakes, syrup sticky on formica, his laugh booming over the sizzle.
Fitting.
Poetic, even. Saturday dawned muggy. Philly's summer humidity, clinging like regret. I waddled in, 7 months along, back aching from desk hours, spotting Lila in the corner booth, nursing black coffee, her face gaunt under fluorescent buzz. She looked up, eyes hollowed by whatever demons she'd wrestled back. Piper. Cease. I slid in opposite, ordering decaf from habit. No small talk. We weren't wired for it. The letter.
Spill.
She slid a manila envelope across, fingers steady. Inside, photocopies. Dad's suicide note, the forged one Mom had planted, rambling about debts and despair. But circled in red, discrepancies. Ink analysis report, dated last year, proving forgery. And a witness statement from Hargrove's ex-mistress, claiming Mom's confession over martinis. I pushed him to the edge. He jumped so I'd be free. My pulse thrummed. Where'd you get this? Rehab group. One of the counselors knew Hargrove circle. Pieced it together after. Everything. Her voice cracked on the last. After Mom's trial, after the quarry exhumation that painted Dad's death as assisted suicide, Mom's doing, Hargrove's muscle. I'd leaked just enough to the DA, anonymous, to watch it burn. But Lila? She'd been digging too, it seemed. You started this fire, Piper. But you let it consume us all.
Us.
As if we were a unit. You stole my fiancé. Mom convinced him I was trash. That fire? You lit the match. She flinched, but held my gaze. I was 19.
Scared.
Mom said you'd self-destruct anyway, like Dad. I believed her. A tear tracked down, smudged mascara. But after Jake left, I saw it. The lies. How she pitted us against each other to keep control.
Control.
The word hung, heavy as the baby between us. Controversial decision 4. Empathy. I could have walked, torched her with the full tape. Hargrove admitting he loosened the truck's brakes. But something shifted, rebirth's echo maybe. What do you want, Lila? Absolution? Forgiveness. And truth. For Dad. She leaned in, voice a whisper. Help me bury her for good. The real story. Podcast, book, whatever. Make it public.
Public.
The word thrilled and terrified. As a journalist, I'd chase scandals, but this? Personal Armageddon. Mom was out, scraping by on Social Security, her memoir self-published drivel blaming everyone but the Mirror. Exposing her fully. Manslaughter. Not just fraud. Meant dragging Dad's ghost through headlines again. And us. Sisters, complicit in the silence. I took the envelope. Folded it away. Give me time. Time I used like a scalpel. Back in Brooklyn, I pored over at nights Jake snored, cross-referencing with my stash. The ex-mistress? Dead, OD 2 years back, suspicious but cold. The analysis? Legit, from a firm Hargrove's lawyers had buried. Lila had teeth, after all. I called my editor, floated a pitch. Family secrets, the forged suicide that shattered a legacy. Vague enough to greenlight, explosive enough to detonate. But doubt gnawed. Echo kicked, a reminder of stakes. What if this broke Jake's family ties? His mom still whispered about that messy divorce? What if it unearthed my motel scars? The rebirth no one believed. I confided in Jake over takeout lo mein, testing waters. Hypothetically, if I wrote about Mom, the real shit, Dad's death. His chopsticks paused. Hypothetically? Go for it. She's poison, Pipes. You deserve the last word. Simple. Loyal. But his eyes held questions about the boxes, the late nights. Trust. Fragile as spun glass. Production kicked off fall. Echo born screaming in October. A girl with Dad's curls, Jake's dimples. Motherhood blurred edges. Diapers and deadlines. Lila visiting weekly, cooing over bottles while we plotted episodes. She stayed in Philly. Temp work at a nonprofit. Her sobriety a tightrope I admired grudgingly. We weren't close. Too many ghosts. But allies?
Yes.
Sisters, reforged in revelation. The podcast dropped New Year's. Echoes of Betrayal. 10 episodes, raw interviews, me voice modulated for anonymity at first, Lila bold and broken. Mom's reaction? A cease and desist shrill voicemails. You're ruining me, you ungrateful bitch. I played them on air, unedited. Listeners ate it up. Millions of downloads. True crime junkies dissecting our DNA like evidence. Hargrove's appeals crumbled. New charges loomed. Mom holed up. Media hounds at her door. Then the call. Jake's mom, voice iced.
This. Spectacle.
It's unseemly. For the baby. Unseemly. Code for cut ties. Jake fielded it, came home pale. They're pulling back. The trust fund for Echo, frozen. Guilt twisted. Controversial 5. Prioritize blood or truth. I chose both, leaking Hargrove's full confession to a podcast arrival. Boom. Federal probe reopened. Mom named co-conspirator. She cracked, confessed on a hot mic to a reporter. I did it for us. For the girls.
Us. Still.
Lila and I watched the presser from my couch, Echo nursing at my breast. We did it, she said, half smile. Dad's free.
Free.
But freedom's price? Jake's distance grew, late nights at the office. Echoes of his old doubts. This isn't you, Pipes. It's vengeance eating you alive. Fights escalated, Words like shrapnel. You hid this from me. I protected you. The brownstone felt like a cage, our love fraying at seams Mom had sewn. Spring thawed the city, but not us. Lila moved closer, crashing on our spare futon during a relapse scare, pills, not booze, flushed before damage. I held her hair, whispering Dad's jokes, the ones about pancakes flying like frisbees. Bonding, fragile. Then the twist within the twist. Mom's suicide note, delivered by courier. Not dead, faked, a ploy for sympathy, but attached? A letter to me, handwritten ink blotchy. I convinced Jake because you reminded me too much of him, of us broken. Lila was my redo. Forgive me, or don't. But no, Hargrove killed him, not me. I just watched.
Watched.
Complicit. Rage flared, then guttered. Echo's cry pulled me back. I burned it. Ashes in the Hudson at dawn. Reconciliation? Partial. Jake and I therapy marathoned. Rebuilding on truths bared. Mom vanished. Rumors of Mexico, a new name. Lila stayed, Auntie in earnest, her own podcast spinning off ours. Success cascaded. Book deals, TED Talks on toxic legacy. But the real victory? Echo's first word. Mama. Not revenge. Legacy. Yet shadows linger. A call from an unknown number. Piper Harlan? This is Detective Ruiz. About your father's case. We've got new evidence. Your mother's alibi. It's you.
Me? Impossible.
I'd been 6, alibied by school records. Unless. The reset. Did rebirth bleed timelines? Paranoia or plot? I hung up, heart hammering. The game, eternal. But this time, I'd play with eyes wide. Detective Ruiz's voice echoed in my skull like a bad loop, gravelly Philly accent cutting through the baby monitor static. Your mother's alibi. It's you.
Me.
A 6-year-old with pigtails and scraped knees, supposedly at recess, when Dad's truck teetered off that quarry ledge. Records don't lie, or do they, when fate hits rewind. I paced the brownstone nursery, Echo's mobiles twirling lazy in the AC hum, Jake's snores filtering from down the hall. Rebirth's gift, second chances. Curse, echoes that won't fade. I didn't call back. Not yet. Dawn broke sticky, coffee bitter as I scrolled Ruiz's precinct bio. 20 years homicide, clean rep, no grudge against Harlan's. Coincidence? Or Mom's final gambit, smoke from her Mexican mirage. Lila buzzed my cell at 7 a.m. sharp. Heard from Mom? She's trending, Mommy dearest murder. I groaned, pulling up Twitter, memes of Mom's perp walk, captioned forged notes and broken homes. Our podcast had minted villains, now copycats. Ruiz called. I said, voice low. Echo gummed a teether, oblivious. Says Mom's alibi is me. As a kid. Silence, then Lila's sharp intake. Bullshit. I remember that day. You were at school. I walked you there, remember? Rainy, you whining about fractions. Fractions. The memory hit. Lockers slamming, fluorescent buzz. Mrs. Keller droning decimals.
Solid.
But Ruiz? Digging post-podcast fame, maybe. Or deeper. Hargrove's ghost. Lawyers sniffing for libel.
Meet me at the archive.
Lunch. The Philly Free Library's microfilm room smelled of dust and defeat, reels whirring as Lila and I poured over 2,008 obits. Dad's photo stared back, smiling unaware, caption, tragic accident claims local father. No mentions of foul play then. Mom's narrative locked tight. We cross-checked school logs. Piper Harlan, present, 8:45 a.m. dismissal. Ironclad. But what if? Lila trailed, eyes flicking to me. Your change? After the coma. My coma. The hospital glitch of rebirth. Doctors baffled by my flatline revival. What if it altered things? Superstition, sister style. I laughed it off, but chill prickled. Rebirth wasn't magic. It was glitch, cosmic stutter. Still, I emailed Ruiz. Details? Pay hat. His reply pinged hours later. Alibi witness recant. Claims saw E. Harlan with child matching your description near quarry 3 p.m. Day of.
Arlen, Mom.
Child me? Timeline shredded.
Panic clawed, but I channeled it.
Controversial 6. Confront the past. I drove to Cherry Hill, Jake's old family manse, now his parents' marble-floored fortress of forgotten slights. His mom answered, pearls clutched like garlic. Piper.
This.
Exposure. It's divided us. Truth does that, I said, stepping in uninvited. The den reeked of old money, leather club chairs, crystal decanters. Jake's dad nursed scotch, eyes hard. We froze the trust for a reason. Your mother's sins aren't ours. Not asking for money, asking for memory. April 12th, 2008. Did Mom ever mention the quarry with me? His mom paled. That day? You were at school. But Eleanor, your mother, called frantic. Said you'd wandered off some playground tale. We searched, but... She trailed, glancing at her husband. It was nothing. Nothing. Or the crack. I thanked them, left with more questions. Back home, Jake waited, arms crossed. Cherry Hill? Without me. Family business. Line number. Lost count. He softened, pulling me close. We're in this, pipes. But no more secrets. Promise made, fragile as Philo. Lila and I escalated. P.I. Redix, this time for Ruiz as witness. Turns out, a quarry worker, retired, nursing grudge against Hargrove for pink slips.
Paid off.
$5K wired from a shell account, Mom's hand, post-prison savvy. She was playing us, from afar, alibi fracturing to frame.
Me? Motive?
Deranged maternal love, or deflection. We leaked it to the pod. Bonus episode. Alibi intrigue. Download spiked. Ruiz's phone blowing up. He called back, apologetic. Witness flipped. Bribe attempt. Case closed on that front. Relief flooded, but suspicion lingered. Mom's game. Multi-level. Summer sweltered. Echo's first beach trip a sandy chaos of sippy cups and sunscreen. Jake loosened. Our fights fading to flirty banter. But Lila? Edgy. Her visits laced with bourbon breath. One drink, she'd say, but eyes glassy. Relapse loomed, our alliance straining. Then, the package, no return, addressed to the truth-tellers. Inside, VHS tape, grainy label, Harlan Quarry, April 12th, 08. Heart slamming, I popped it in Jake's ancient player. Footage jittered, security cam, timestamped 2:47 p.m. Mom's sedan pulling up, her silhouette dragging a small figure from the back. Curls, red raincoat.
Me.
Tiny me, wailing as she shoved me toward the ledge, then yanked back, staged. Hargrove's truck idling nearby, Dad's face visible, arguing. Then the push, not Mom but Hargrove. Dad tumbling, screams cut by splash. But me there?
Impossible.
Unless. The reset pulled threads, timelines tangling. Or deepfake, Mom's final fuck you. Lila watched frozen. That's you.
How?
Trick, I whispered, but doubt poisoned. Controversial 7. Destroy it. I snapped the tape, shards in the trash. But copies? Digital ghosts. Jake found the pieces next morning. What the hell, pipes? Confrontation exploded. Accusations flying. You're hiding again. Protecting us. He stormed out, crashing at his parents. Alone with Echo, I crumbled, calling Lila. It's unraveling. She arrived, stone cold sober. Then end it. Find Mom. Force closure. Mexico. I booked flights. Echo, with Jake's mom, truce pending. Lila and I touched down in Cancun heat, tracing leads, dive bars, expat whispers. Mom holed in a Tulum bungalow, yoga mats and agave tequilas her new facade. We found her sunset side, salt-streaked hair, eyes sharpening on us. Daughters. Come to gloat. To end this, I said, slamming the transcript, Ruiz is, the witness flip. The tape. You're fake. She laughed hollow. Fake? Oh, Piper. That was real. You were there. I took you to witness his weakness. Hargrove pushed him, yes.
But you saw.
And in your episode, your mind wove it wrong. Forgot. Rebirth amnesia? Bullshit or breakthrough? Lila recoiled. You used us. Both. Mom's eyes softened. Crocodile. For survival. Like you, Piper. Reborn despite. Reborn. She knew?
How?
You died, she said, casual as Chardonnay. That motel. I found you, called it in anonymous. Watched from afar as you changed. Stalker mom, guardian ghost. Rage boiled. I lunged, not violence, but truth.
Confess.
On record. Phone rolling, her words spilled. Full complicity, the push's prelude, the forged note to seal. I convinced Jake to leave you because you were breaking like him. Lila was salvageable. Salvable. The word snapped something. Lila hit stop, tears streaming. We're done. We left her there, confession in pocket, gift to Ruiz. Flight home, silence thick. Jake waited at arrival's echo in arms. Missed you. Forgive me? I asked, breaking. Always. But his eyes held the tape shard shadow. Podcast finale dropped fall. The witness within. Mom extradited, trial looming, life, no parole. Lila and I toured, sisters spotlit, our scars stories now. But the real twist? Echo's second birthday, cake smeared on chubby cheeks. A letter slipped under the door. Mom's from jail. The reset was my prayer. Use it well.
Prayer.
Or curse. I burned it, but wondered. Was rebirth hers too? Timelines, tangled eternal. Life normalized, Jake's promotion. Lila's book deal. Echo's first steps toward me. Victory bittersweet. Yet nights, quarry dreams. Small me wailing, dad falling. Awake, I hold tighter. Revenge won. But peace? Fleeting. One more shadow. Ruiz's final call.
Case airtight.
But Harlan? She mentioned a gift. For you.
Gift.
The envelope arrived weeks later. Key to a safe deposit box. Inside, Dad's journal, pages chronicling Mom's affair, Hargrove's threats. Last entry. For Piper, survive her. Love, Dad.
Survived.
I had. But the cycle? Echo's eyes, Dad's gaze. Would it loop?
No.
Controversial 8. Break it. I donated the journal to the pod archive, public domain. Let truth echo free. Dad's journal hit like absolution ink, pages yellowed but words sharp. Eleanor's lies are vines, choking slow. Piper, my wild one, cut free. Cut free. I traced his scrawl under desk lamp. Echo asleep in her crib, Jake's steady breath from the couch where he'd crashed post-Lakers game. The safe deposit box had been his final act, mailed pre-quarry, hidden in a PO under false name. Mom never found it, her prayer, blind to the blade he'd left. Lila came over next morning, coffee in hand, her face alight with that post-sobriety glow, fragile, fierce. Read it. She slid into the breakfast nook, peering over my shoulder. Every word. I passed it, watching her devour. Dad's doubts, Mom's dalliances detailed like detective notes, dates, motels, Hargrove's Escalade plates. He knew, and he planned escape for us. She nodded, throat working. Trials in February. Our testimony seals it.
Testimony.
The word weighted us down through holidays. Thanksgiving at Jake's parents', tentative thaws over turkey, his mom cooing at Echo while side-eyeing Lila's water glass. Progress, Jake murmured later, his hand warm on my knee under the tablecloth. Progress, his trust fund unfrozen, strings attached to discretion. I nodded, but inside, the vines crept. Mom's trial prep dragged winter into slush, Ruiz prepping us in sterile conference rooms. Her defense? Battered woman, Hargrove's puppet. Puppet. As if strings excused blood. Lila and I rehearsed, her the grieving daughter, me the reborn avenger, voice steady despite the surreal. I was there, Your Honor. Not then, but I saw. The judge's brow furrowed at that. Sidebar whispers. Rebirth stayed myth. My vision, framed as recovered memory from therapy. Worked. Opening statements hit February Frost. DA, painting mom as mastermind, defends her as victim. Mom took the stand third day, transformed, tailored suit, hair sleek, eyes locking on us like laser sights. I loved my husband. Hargrove. Coerced.
Coerced. Bull.
Cross-exam shredded it. Journal excerpts projected, her signatures on forgeries glaring under fluorescence. Then Lila, poised, unflinching. You pitted us. Stole my sister's future to fix your failures. Gallery murmurs, mom's mask cracking, a tear real? Jurors leaned in. My turn. Heart thundering, I faced her across the well, the same eyes that had whispered Jake away. You convinced him I was broken. But broken? That's your legacy. I detailed the motel, my death unvarnished, framing it as metaphor for her toxins. Rebirth isn't magic, Mom. It's choice. I chose different. Gasps rippled. Judge banged gavel. Defense objected. Speculative. But damage done. Mom's gaze faltered. Whisper audible. My girl. Verdict dropped Friday. Guilty. Life with parole after 30. No death penalty. Philly's mercy. But chains enough. Lila and I watched from the courthouse steps, snow flurrying like confetti. It's over, she said, hugging tight. Over? Echo's third birthday loomed spring, a park picnic with balloons and bad cake. Jake grilled burgers, his laugh easy now, scars scabbed. His parents attended, gifts wrapped in cautious bows. Lila brought a scrapbook, Dad's photos, us kids gap-toothed and grinning. For Echo.
No secrets. No secrets.
The mantra carried us into summer. Lila's engagement to a quiet engineer, podcast spin-offs funding her therapy practice.
Me?
Vanity Fair promoted me to features editor, chasing stories of survival, women rewriting narratives. Jake climbed to VP, our brownstone expanding with a nursery redo, Echo's crayons scribbling walls. But twists linger, subtle as fog. Mom's appeals dragged, letters smuggled via inmates. Piper, the gift was more. Check the quarry, coordinates in Dad's last page. Last page? Journal's end, scribbled lat long. Quarry's deep end. Jake balked when I mentioned diving it. Pipes, let sleeping dogs, but curiosity won. We hired pros, Echo with Lila. Wetsuits zipping in dawn chill. Divers surfaced midday, silt-streaked. A lockbox, rusted but sealed. Inside, diamonds, Mom's dowry, Hargrove's insurance, Dad's emergency stash.
Un taxed, un traced, worth million.
Legal?
Gray.
Controversial 9. Launder or legit? We donated half to suicide prevention, Dad's foundation anonymous. The rest? College for Echo, Lila's wedding, a safety net woven from bones. Mom heard her final letter. Well played. Proud.
Proud.
I framed it hidden drawer. Years folded. Echo's school plays. Jake's gray at temples. Lila's twins toddling chaos. The party, that anniversary bash where it started, echoed in annual toasts. Guests, none the wiser to the saga. One night, post-bedtime, Jake pulled me to the roof, city lights winking. 10 years. You saved us, pipes.
Saved.
From what? Betrayal. Death. Self? I leaned into him. Wind howling. We saved each other. But the deepest twist? Echo's 8th birthday, a lopsided cake she baked, frosting everywhere. She cornered me in the kitchen, eyes too knowing. Mama, I dreamed Grandpa. Said you got a do-over. Is it true?
Dream.
Or Echo. I knelt, heart stutter. Stories, baby. For brave girls. She grinned, Dad's dimple flashing.
I'm brave.
Like you.
Brave.
The cycle, perhaps broken or past. Rebirth's legacy. Not revenge, but resilience. Fade out on fireworks, family laughter, shadows danced away. Happy?
Yes. Betragits?
In the undertow. But mine.